What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the two mega level Beast Wars Transformers toys that actually appeared in the television series. Now, there were actually 5 Beast Wars mega levels that were released for the initial few waves of Beast Wars Transformers toys that were released. Later on, there were also Transmetal megas and even some Transmetal 2 megas that were released, but there were 5 originals, 2 of which that appeared in the show are right here in front of us. To our left, we have Scorponok, and to our right, we have Inferno. Now, I actually have both of these sealed in their boxes, but they're currently carefully packed away because I find it a little bit harder to display boxes than I do the carded figures that I mostly collect. I really didn't want to dig them out just for the purpose of the video, so I will show you some pictures here on the screen of what they actually look like in their packaging. But the 2 I have in front of us are my original childhood toys, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at them out of the package, and I'll also show you all of the mega levels since there's only 5 total. And I'll tell you which ones are my favorite, all the way down to the one that I disliked the most, and we'll just have a little discussion and preview about it. So to our left here, we have Scorponok. Now, Scorponok, he kind of suffers from the same issue as quite a few of the toys, and he is very inaccurate when it comes to sizing. His mutant mask, unless you remove it, also kind of takes away from his look because he has this big bulky thing around his head now. But overall, I thought the look of Scorponok was very good. He just should have been much smaller. Scorponok should have honestly been probably more of a deluxe level. I think he would have been way too small if he was one of the regular small figures. His arms and stuff did need to be kind of large. I just think if he was taken down one scale to a deluxe, he would have scaled a lot better to the other figures and some of the other figures that have recently been released that are a little more show and size accurate. But this is Scorponok. We'll go ahead and turn him around so we can see him. One of Scorponok's major issues with his toy, I always thought he looked pretty good, but he is very back heavy with his tail back here. So that was probably the biggest flaw with him. Everything else looks good and functions pretty well. So that is Scorponok. Now, his hands, with his left hand here, he has his 2 missiles that he comes with that he shoots out. So that's what happens over here on this hand. And on his other hand, he launches his little B robotic scout. So if you press this, this actually pops off. I'm going to carefully remove it instead of letting it shoot out. But it pops open with springs, and as you can see, it is his little reconnaissance B. And it simply folds back up and goes back on his hand. Now, as these toys aged, this was one of the things that seems to kind of fail on all of the toys, and that is the ability for this to go back on and stay properly. Now, mine actually still functions fairly well because I didn't really play with these as a child. I more, I was kind of just a collector. I just liked having them. I didn't really play with them other than transform them a few times here or there. But as you can see, Scorponok, you got to bend him forward just a little bit so that he can actually stand up because he is kind of back heavy. Now we'll go ahead and move him to the side for just a minute, and we'll take a look at the other mega level, which was none other than Inferno. Inferno was very cool in my opinion. I loved his character. But then again, that's what I loved about Beast Wars in general. Because of the fact that it was so expensive at the time for the CGI of all the different characters, they didn't really have that many in the show. There were only, in Season 1 anyway, 7 total Predacons and 7 total Maximals. So each character you saw a little bit more. You got to dive a little more in depth with their character, how they act, a little bit of their stance on their beliefs, and their just who they were in general. So I very much liked Beast Wars for that. It wasn't like the original Transformers, which I also like very much, but you got a gazillion different characters over the span of the season. At least a lot more than in Beast Wars anyway. So, you know, when you have a lot less characters, you get to spend more time with those characters and kind of, you know, get a sense of their personality and what they're all about. And I really did like Inferno. I thought he was very unique. I thought he was very cool. So let's go ahead and check out Inferno's toy here. When he is in his actual robot form, he's got a lot of cool gadgets. Over here, he has his pincer that you can put on either hand. I choose to put it over here. So basically this is just his little pincers when he's in ant form. They become kind of like a little talon claw that he can use as a weapon. Over here in his other hand right here, we have his little blaster. When he's in ant form, it's actually inside of his mouth. But two of his back legs actually come off as missiles, and they go inside there and you can shoot them off. Not only that, but on the back here, he has his jetpack. And much like in the show, it actually spins. You can activate this little lever right here, and it will spin his little jetpack. Very, very cool. So that is Inferno. Now, Inferno is a lot more size accurate in my opinion. He scales very close to his actual size when compared to the Ultra level Megatron, which in the show Megatron was the largest of all of the Beast Wars Transformers, and he scales pretty close to the size of Megatron, at least height-wise. So he's a lot closer to show accuracy in size than Scorponok is, because Scorponok was very, very small. He might have actually been the smallest Predacon in the actual show. I'd have to look up the size scale, but he was, if not the smallest, the second smallest. He was a very small character, but as you can see side by side, he isn't much shorter than Inferno. So he should be a lot shorter, Scorponok should. And Inferno is pretty close to what he should actually be. Now that we've got a chance to actually check them out in robot form and kind of some of their weapons and what they do, let's go ahead and check out their tech spec cards. So Inferno, as you will know from my previous videos, I have some gripes and complaints with the overall numbers on here. But I guess in their defense, they had created these toys and characters kind of before the season got to play out. So they didn't really know, you know, in the beginning what they were going to do with each character. So I'll give them that. Believe it or not, just a little gee whiz, Hasbro, the toy company, actually got the final say in which characters lived and which characters died. The writers kind of had to leave each season on a cliffhanger as far as which Beast Wars were going to get destroyed, which ones would be recreated or changed, which new ones would come into play. And they did that based off of sales of toys. So whether you like it or not, all of the Beast Wars Transformers that never made it into Season 2 was because their toys didn't sell very well. At least not as good as the other ones. So that's Hasbro got the final word in which ones lived and which ones died. And they chose to destroy quite a few of the Beast Wars whose toys weren't selling as well as the other ones. And that's why those characters died off. So when it comes to these numbers, the writers, when they first began writing each episode for Beast Wars, didn't have a final plan in place or a story in place. They kind of just winged it and played it by ear. They did a great job, but that's why a lot of these don't really reflect what we saw on the show and what they should say. Let's take a look at Inferno here. Strength 7, not bad. Intelligence 4, okay. Speed of 8. I think he should have been taken down a notch or two on the speed. I know in robot form he has a jetpack, but as an ant he's very slow. And even in robot form, unless he was flying, and he didn't really fly as fast as the other flyers, but maybe his speed should have been taken down a little bit. Endurance, rank, courage, firepower, and skill. I think firepower should have been a little higher based on his character in the show. And skill, okay, 5. Not too many gripes and complaints here. Maybe tweaked a couple of those numbers, but overall not too bad. So that is Inferno. Let's go ahead and check out Scorponok. Strength of 8. So definitely have to disagree with that one. He should be lower, especially lower than Inferno. Inferno's twice his size. Intelligence of 5, okay, 4 or 5 probably is where I would have put him. Speed of 5, not going to argue there. Endurance 7, rank 6. Courage 7, firepower 9. It's pretty high for firepower, but his missiles did pack a punch in the show, so maybe. And skill of 8. Don't know about that skill of 8. Probably should have been a little bit lower, but there is Scorponok's ratings. Let me know what you guys think. All right, now that we've got to take a look at the ones that actually appeared in the show, let's go ahead and get our other 3 mega levels and take a little quick look at them and just see what they're all about. Take a look at their tech spec cards and just see what's going on. So let me step away real quick and we will check out all 5. All right, so now we have all 5 of the mega levels right here in front of us. The new ones that we haven't taken a look at yet are right here in the middle. Starting from the left, we have Polar Claw. In the middle, we have B-Boom, and over to the right, we have Transketo. Now, Polar Claw and B-Boom were both Maximals, and Transketo was a Predacon. So we ended up getting 3 Predacons and 2 Maximals. Now, we'll start first here. We'll take a look at Polar Claw. We will take a look at all of these in beast form in just a little bit, but Polar Claw is a polar bear. And in his transformed mode, he basically has 2 weapons. One of his polar bear legs opens up into a giant claw, and then his other opens up into a flying, it looks like a bat. So I'm pretty sure that is a bat, which is very similar to Scorponok's bee. So instead we have a bat here that actually launches off. And this is Polar Claw. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't really like any of the non-show appearance mega levels. Not just because we never saw them. Polar Claw, it just seems very basic to me. In his polar bear form, he's very small. And once you transform him, it's just not very impressive to me, at least design-wise. I don't like his look. It's very mixed up. I mean, you've got some true animal parts, and then you get full-on mechanical, and then you kind of have a mixture of both. I don't know. I just don't like Polar Claw's look. I don't like the design of it. Now, he actually has, I believe, 2 different versions of a face. So if you want to call that a mutant mask, you can. It's basically just the back of his head. So he has one form for a face, and then he has his other one, which this is supposed to be his true face right here. So there is Polar Claw. We'll take a look at the back. Here is the back of Polar Claw. And yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't very impressed. I don't like the look. It's very bland. It's very dull. Just not very impressed with Polar Claw. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the tech specs. So strength, a 9. You know, a polar bear also looks like a fairly large figure. So I'm not going to argue with that. Never saw him in action, at least in the American show. So can't say much there. Intelligence 7, speed of 4, endurance 6, rank 8, very high rank. Courage 9, firepower 8, and skill 7. So some pretty good stats from Polar Claw. And there is a close-up of the tech spec card since we never saw him in the show. And that's what he would have looked like. But once again, my personal opinion, not impressed with the toy. I do not like the look of it. To be completely honest, it almost looks like a prototype to me. It doesn't even look like it was finished, just because of how kind of bland in most areas are on it. But that is Polar Claw. We'll move him to the back. Alright, let's go ahead and check out B-Boom. Now, of the 3 non-appearance mega levels, B-Boom is my favorite. I really like the look of the robot form. Very unique looking, very cool looking. His weapon right here, of course, is his blaster that he has in his hand. He comes with 2 missiles. Now, B-Boom and the next figure we're going to look at actually have 3 modes. They're technically triple changers. They have a beast form, they have a robot form, but they also have a middle form, which is their attack form. And we'll take a look at that before we go. But those 2 actually were triple changers. But here is B-Boom. We're going to go ahead and get a 360 view. And like I said, personally, my opinion, I think he is the best looking one out of all 3 of the non-show appearance mega levels. We will take a look at B-Boom's tech spec card. So here it is. We have a strength of 8, intelligence 7, speed of 6, endurance 7, rank 7, courage 9, firepower 9, and a skill of 6. So some pretty decent stats there from B-Boom. Once again, B-Boom is a maximal. And we will go ahead and set him to the back. Alright, the last figure we are going to look at is Transketo here. Very gruesome looking character here. He has 1 main weapon when he is in robot form, and that is the large missile that he shoots out of his mouth. We will take a look at his attack mode before we go, but here is Transketo. And there is our 360. Now let's go ahead and take a look at his tech spec card. Transketo has a strength of 5, intelligence 4, speed of 9, endurance 8, rank 6, courage 8, firepower 7, and skill 6. So very high in speed and endurance, very low in strength and intelligence, which no surprise there. Pretty cool character in his illustrated form, but his toy, the toy just doesn't really impress me much. Not a big fan of Transketo here. I thought it was a good idea. I just don't like the toy. We'll talk about that more in a second. But there is Transketo. Now, before we actually go, I am going to show you their beast forms, but I'm also going to show you in order my favorite to my least favorite mega level. So 1 second, let me go ahead and line them up, and we'll be back in just a second. All right, we're back, and probably not a big surprise based on some of my comments, but from left to right here, I have my favorite mega level toy and character all the way to the right, which is my least favorite. My absolute favorite mega level is Inferno. Loved his toy, great depiction of his character. It's fun to transform. And he just looks great. And his character in the show, as I said, was one of my top favorites, just based on his personality. And I just really liked Inferno. So the playability, the design, the fun level of the actual transformation, Inferno is my favorite. Second is Scorponok. Once again, a show, Beast War appearance. So that's got a lot to do with why he is my second favorite. But his transformation is also fairly simple and fun to do. He looks great. He looks true to his character, especially if you buy a second one, or if you just do it with the only one you have and you don't really care and you remove that mutant mask. He just looks amazing. He's fun to play with. His missile launcher, his B launcher, until the B launcher starts to wear out, but I'm not going to hold that against him. I love Scorponok, so that is my second favorite mega level. Now, my third favorite, and my favorite of the non-show appearance Beast Wars character toys, is B-Boom. I thought his overall look was the best out of all 3 of the non-show appearance characters. The fact that he's also a triple changer, and the fact that even though there was already a member of the monkey slash ape family already in the show with Optimus, there were several double characters as far as we got two cats. We had Tigatron and Cheetor. We got two spiders, Black Arachnia and Tarantulas. So the seeing another monkey character, wouldn't have surprised me, or really, I don't think, hurt the show. So I could have very much have seen B-Boom in the show. Moving on to Polar Claw over there. If it would have been done better, I definitely could have got on board with a Polar Bear Maximal. But the fact that the toy just looks terrible in robot form, I just can't get over that. Now, that's probably just my personal opinion, and you might have an entirely different opinion. I just hate the look of Polar Claw in his robot form. The weapons are pretty cool. The idea of the polar bear is pretty cool, but once again, as a giant polar bear, he should have been fairly large for a polar bear, but he's very small, his toy is, in beast mode. Polar bear I just don't like, but the worst out of all of the mega levels, hands down, in my book anyway, is Transketo. And the reason for that is his transformation is highly annoying because of his several long legs that are in the way, his giant wings, the fact that a lot of his pieces don't really clamp together, such as his chest piece. His legs are very thin and flimsy, especially for a character as back heavy as he is. And I'll show you what I mean by that real quick. They're just hollow legs that fold out. I hate Transketo. I do not like him at all. He's just the worst. He's not fun to play with. His pieces are constantly falling off. If you're not really careful with his little antennas in the front, you will see the stress marks that you get at the base where they meet the little rolly ball in there, and you will even break those off if you're not careful. Just a very delicate, annoying figure to deal with, and I just really dislike Transketo. His overall look really isn't that bad. At least I don't think it's as bad as Polar Claw's is. It's just the fun level with Transketo is almost a 0, and I just can't get past that. It's a very cheap feeling figure, very hollow, very difficult, and I can't say enough bad things about Transketo. I just don't like him at all. So that is the order of Transformers Beast Wars Mega levels, from my favorite all the way down to my worst. Naturally, the show appearance and the fact that they executed them very well are my favorites. B-Boom, my favorite of the other 3, and then the remaining 2, with Transketo being the absolute worst. So let's go ahead and take a look at these in beast form, and then we'll check out real quick the other 2 triple changers in their attack form, and we'll wrap this video up. Alright, so here are our mega levels in beast mode, and just to kind of reinforce what I've already said, while transforming these, pretty much exactly as I remember, very smooth and simple and fun to transform with Inferno here if you have the slightest clue of what you're doing. Same thing with Scorponok. Polar Claw is actually much easier than both of the other non-show appearance characters, and even a little bit easier than these guys right here. Once again, the main reason why I have him at the bottom of my like list here is just because of the overall look of the Beast War, and I thought, I just wasn't very impressed. Not very fun or articulated in robot form. In beast form, obviously, very, very small for a polar bear. B-Boom right here isn't that hard if you know what you're doing, but there are some extra steps, especially since he has a third form. And then over here with Transketo, once again, absolutely annoying. So here is Transketo right here as his mosquito form. We will take a look at him in his actual attack form in a second, his other form. Here is Polar Claw. Polar Claw is very small, Very, very tiny. Here we have B-Boom. He's actually quite large, but here he is in his beast form. Looks like a baboon. Over here we have Scorponok. Looks like his scorpion. We can even press the little lever right here on the back and make his stinger actually come down and do its little stinging motion. And then over here, of course, we have Inferno. Very, very cool looking. Looks just like the show. Alright, so there they are in their beast forms. So one last thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at B-Boom and Transketo in their attack form. So stand by 1 second and let's make that happen. Alright, so here we have B-Boom and Transketo in their attack formations. We'll go ahead and get a little bit closer here. So B-Boom kind of turns into this walking tank. He has this very mean looking new face that's now exposed. We've got these almost looks like machine Gatling guns on the sides here. We have the cannon in the front. And he's kind of like a little walking fortress. A little bit more metallized with machinery showing through. And that is attack formation B-Boom. Pretty interesting. And then over here we have attack formation Transketo. So we have this, his wings open up into these giant pincer claws. We got this mean looking face right here. We have a cannon back here that can also shoot a missile at us. And when you move the little lever right here, his giant claws actually clamp open and closed. So that is the attack formations of both of those. Pretty cool concept, but once again, I'm just really not that impressed with them. Still much prefer the show appearance figures over all three of those, but if I had to pick one as my favorite, B-Boom is definitely my favorite non-show appearance mega level Beast Wars Transformer. And that's going to wrap up all of the mega levels. In the next video, we'll probably be taking a look at the ultra levels. We're also going to take a look at some more custom figures that I've been working on, and I'm going to finally get around to doing my top 5 favorite non-show appearance Beast Wars Transformer toys. So stay tuned for that, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this. I want to know what your thoughts are on these figures, especially if you have a totally different opinion than me. I would love to hear it, but that is just my opinion, and until next time, I will see you next video.